The monk who sold his Ferrari. Let's start reading. So today we are going to start this book to read. Okay. So in this book, the total chapter is 13, and we are going to learn this first chapter on our first day. Okay. The first chapter is the wake up call. Okay, let's start. Hope it's totally visible to you. Okay. See one more. So the total chapter is 13. Chapter 1 to chapter wait. Chapter 13. Let's the wake up call. Okay. In the middle of a packed, he was one of this country's most distinguished trial lawyer. He was also a man who was as well known for the $3,000 Italian suits that strapped his well-fed frame, as for his remarkable string of legal victories. I simply stood there, paralyzed by the shock of what I had just witnessed. The great Julian Mantle had been reduced to a victim and was now squirming on the ground like a helpless infant, shaking and shivering and sweating like a maniac. Everything seemed to move in slow motion from that point on. My God, Julian's in trouble. His paralegal screamed, emotionally offering us a blinding glimpse of the obvious. The judge looked panic-stricken and quickly muttered something into the private phone. They had installed in the event of an emergency. As for me, I could only stand there, dazed and confused. Please don't die, you old fool. It's too early for you to check out. You don't deserve to die like this. The bailiff, who earlier had looked as if he had been embalmed in his standing position, leapt into leapt into action and started to perform CPR on the fallen legal hero. The paralegal was at his side, her. So here we have to wait for a few seconds. Hi, hi guys, hi. Let's start reading the next page. I hope it is totally visible to you. Okay. See, long blonde curls dangling over Julian's rubby red face, offering him soft words of comfort. Words that he obviously could not hear. I had known Julian for 17 years. We had first met when I was a young law student hired by one of his partners as a summer research intern. Back then, he would had it all. He was a brilliant, handsome, and fearless trial attorney with dreams of greatness. Julian was the firm's young star, the rainmaker in waiting. I can still remember walking by his legal corner office while I was working late one night and stealing a glimpse of the framed quotation perched on his massive oak desk. It was by Winston Churchill, and it spoke volumes about the man that Julian was. Here I am that this day we are masters of our fate, that the task which has been set before us is not above our strength, that its pangs and toils are not beyond my endurance. As long as we have faith in our own cause and and an unconquerable will to win, victory will not be denied us. Julian also walked his talk. He was tough, hard driving, and willing to work 18 hours day for the success he believed was his destiny. I heard through the grapevine that his grandfather had been a prominent senator and his father a highly respected judge of the federal court. It was obvious that he came from money and that there were enormous expectations weighing on his Armani clad shoulders. I will admit one thing though. He ran his own race. He was determined to do things his own way, and he loved to put on a show. Julian's outrage courtroom theatrics regularly made the front pages of the newspaper. The rich and famous flocked on his side whenever they needed a superb legal tactician with an aggressive edge. His extracurriculum activities were probably as well known. Late night visit to the city's finest restaurant with sexy young fashion models or reckless drinking escapades escapades with the rowdy band of brokers he called his demolition team became the stuff of legend at the firm. I still can't figure out why he picked me to work with him on that sensational murder case. He was to argue the first summer, though I had graduated from Harvard Law School. His alma mater, I certainly wasn't the brightest intern at the firm, and my family pedigree reflected on blue blood. My father spent his whole life as a security guard with a local bank after a stint in the Marines. My mother grew up unceremoniously in the Bronx, yet he did pick me over all the others who had been quietly lobbying him for the privilege of being his legal governor on what became known as the mother of all murder trials. He said he liked my hunger. We won, of course, and the business executive who had been charged with brutal, brutally killing his wife was now a free man, or as free as the cluttered conscience would let him be. My own education that summer was a rich one. It was far more than a lesson on how to raise a reasonable doubt where none existed. Any lawyer worth his salt could do that. This was a lesson in the psychology of winning and a rare opportunity to watch a master in action. I soaked it up like a sponge. At Julian invitation, I stayed on at the firm as an associate, and a lasting friendship quickly developed between us. I will admit that he wasn't the easiest lawyer to work with. Serving as his junior was often an exercise in frustration, leading to more than a few late night shouting matches. It was truly his way or the highway. This man could never be wrong. However, beneath his crusty exterior was a person who clearly cared about people. No matter how busy he was, he would always ask about Jen, the woman I still call my bride, even though we were married before I went to law school. On finding out from another summer intern that I was in a financial square, Julian arranged for me to receive a generous scholarship. Sure, he could play hardball with the best of them, and so he loved to have a wild time. But he never neglected his friend. The real problem was that Julian was obsessed with work. For the first few years, he justifies his long hour by saying that he was doing it for the good of the firm and that he planned to take a month off and go to the Caymans next winter for sure. As time passed, however, Julian's reputation for brilliance spread and his workload continued to increase. The cases just kept on getting bigger and better, and Julian never wanted to back down from a good challenge, continued to push himself harder and harder. In this race, moment of quiet, he confided that he could no longer sleep for more than a couple of hours without waking up, feeling guilty that he was not working on a file. It soon became clear to me that he was being consumed by the hunger for more prestige, more glory, and more money. As expected, Julian became enormously successful. He achieved everything most people could ever want a stellar professional reputation. With an income in seven figure, a spectacular mansion in a neighborhood favored by celebrities, a private jet, a summer home on a tropical island, and his prized profession, a shiny red Ferrari parked in the center of his driveway. Yet I knew that things were not as idyllic as they appeared on the surface. I observed the sign of impending doom, not because I was so much more perceptive than the others at the firm, but simply because I spent the most time with the men we were. Now wait for some time. It's a break. So that's so that's all for today, guys. Thank you.